All right, fellow TFFL owners, welcome to another TFFL webcast. We're probably a little bit out of practice. We're certainly late getting started here tonight. It's 10:30 late on Wednesday, May 13th. We'll try to be brief here tonight before people have to get to bed, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so free agency has sent different players to different teams around the NFL. The NFL draft brought new talent into the league, to the TFFL. Deflategate suspension has been handed down. We can start to see some keeper lists taking shape, some draft lists being built. The 2015 season, I think, it's here. We're just getting in gear. We're going to talk about it here tonight. I'm Stick, managing editor of TFFL Media, leader of the Aliens. Joined, as always, at least left to right from me, Berto, Hank, Chief, and our frequent guest, almost a regular Bill. Welcome. Okay, on our agenda tonight, we're going to talk about TFFL winners and losers coming out of the NFL draft. We might take a quick peek at the TFFL schedule. If nothing else, I'll just remind you guys, it's now up on the site. You can look for things like the Bro Bowl, K-Wheel's Killers matchups, and so on. We won't do a full mock first round, but I'd like to start diving into how the TFFL's first round might shape up, at least at the top. And hey, before we get too far, let's just make sure we get some key reminders out there, Chief. Obviously, September 11th to 14th, that better be locked into everybody's calendars. Anything else people need to worry about in the short term, medium term?
Pay your bills, glad.
Ralph, dues or due?
I was actually speaking to the money owed to you for the weekend. So I know you haven't. You say you can handle a float for a little bit until the next installment's due, but just keep it in mind that I'm sure Stick won't mind if he gets money early, but don't go buy a new car just yet. Let's keep in mind that you've got a financial commitment outstanding. Stick, just remind everybody of the date. As it happened, I confirmed that time off today from work, so I guess I'll be there. And yeah, the only other thing we have to worry about is keepers in the week before. Until then, let's get some trade chatter.
I did notice I was on the website today, and that it has one of those notices about renewal. That's
myself.
Okay, just check.
That will be done relatively soon.
I think the second deposit for the house for draft weekend, I think that's due July 13th. Maybe after I pay that, we can do a first round of bills, and then a third payment is due in September. All right, hey Bill.
It worked, Stick. By the way, that's awesome. Good job.
Yeah, that Deep Creek house looks nice.
I am so looking forward to it, and it's sadly 4 months away, but yeah, I'm psyched for it.
Excellent work.
Hey, Bill, any rules kicking in this year that would affect the draft, lineup, scoring?
Nothing affecting the draft. A lot of it's just mice nut stuff, correcting mistakes and rules here and there. But we went through that pretty much ad nauseum. Through that in the sense of in the spirit of brevity, we'll leave that where it is.
All right.
If we have time, let's revisit that because I might need a refresher.
Yeah, we'll do it before the season starts.
All right.
Well, I'll throw in a 5-minute spiel just for everybody then.
Good. Okay, well, let's jump into our around the tube discussion. First topic. Let me ease us in a little bit. An off-season strategy question for you guys, and there's really no harm in actually answering this one honestly. So please do so. Do you already have your own set of projected keeper lists? Have you made initial draft lists for each position at this point? If not, how long until you start putting those things together?
I'll go first. I did not start looking at projected keeper lists until we decided we were doing this webcast. So I had not. I've been completely out of TFFL level thinking or looking at it, and it's painful for me to start looking at things, in general. So no, I have not. In terms of the top of the draft, yeah, I got nothing to contribute to that conversation. I have no idea, other than Todd Gurley, who's going to be, at the top. So yeah, I'm just here to hang out with you guys.
Stick, I haven't no review of the keeper list, but definitely keeping my finger on the pulse post draft here. So starting to look at all the rookies, starting to get into that a little bit, but not really comparing that to the keeper list yet. But then I wonder, why the hell am I even bothering? Because I don't pick until 36. So I'm trying to.
Actually, I do have a projected keeper list. Actually, I think I'm on my third iteration now. One after the season, one after free agency, and one after the draft. And it will get periodically updated with if there's a trade or an injury, things like that. So yeah, I try to keep a mind on who has some players that they can't keep that might be worth targeting, or not to mention any names, but the Senators who need about 3 keepers to have a viable keeper list, and possibly try to package some things. Though with a new baby, he's not very responsive these days. As for draft lists, no, I really haven't got into that. That's something I usually start when work gets slow, but I don't see it happening this year. So it might be about a week before the draft. That'll happen at small increments between here and the draft.
I'll be honest with you that it's one of my sleep aids. If I get my brain too crowded when I'm trying to go to sleep, I'll just go over my roster and go over trading options, especially this year with all the picks that I have to move or whatever. It's just a great way to fall asleep. It really is, because you think of what ifs and all that stuff. So I've been thinking of it since the Pac Bowl.
Well, it's exciting when you have 3 picks in the first 9 picks or whatever.
Yeah. Thornburg, that's outstanding. That's your sleep aid. That you sit back and follow the picks. That's a great sleep aid. Well done.
I'm actually surprised it's a sleep aid. That's so much excitement there. For me, it's a sleep aid. For you
well, so many decisions. When you go over it for the 40th and 50th and 90th time, it's not exciting, but it's.
I can't even imagine needing a sleep aid. My head hits the pillow, I'm done.
That's a good thing. All right. Okay. So pull up your roster grid, or in maybe 1 or 2 of your cases, your lists of projected keepers, and we're going to talk about which TFFL teams were helped and hurt the most by the NFL draft. I've given each of you some assignments. We'll let each one of us tackle a different division. Berto, because you've been a little sick this week, we spared you the homework, but you can chime in here. So, Chief, why don't you take us through Bill's division, the Beavers, the Mongols, and the Devils? Who benefited the most? Who was hurt the most?
Well, listen, nobody benefits from the draft. It's who gets hurt a lot, who gets hurt a little bit, and rarely who doesn't get hurt at all. We're not picking up rookies, at this point and putting them on our roster. So the draft didn't hurt anybody. I shouldn't say it didn't help anybody. Nick is more or less the same. Nick wasn't really hurt by a draft, unless Danny Woodhead was somehow a keeper, which, even a Nick's sorry team, I can't imagine that Danny Woodhead was a keeper. Although I think he's kept him twice before now. But I think I can pick out 7 guys who'd be more valuable than Woodhead to the Dirt Devils going forward. The Beavers took a few Nicks, nothing major. Certainly Jay Ajayi going to the Dolphins. If he was healthy, might be a little worrisome, but he could be on a PUP list for the knee for all we know right now. Nelson Aguilar will certainly take some carries away from Jordan Matthews if he's as good as everybody thinks he is, and Ellington. But everybody knew Ellington was going to receive some help there. He's just not cut out to be a feature back, so it might actually benefit him to take some of those early down carries away from him. The big loser here would be the Mongols, who I don't want to say lose him as a keeper because I don't think they really have anybody better. But Devontae Freeman, now with Tevin Coleman comes in, is at risk of being no more than a screen, draw, third and long type player.
Hmm.
You combine that with admittedly a bad keeper, but I had him penciled for the number 7 keeper, Bernard Pierce, just because he's as good as anybody else in Jacksonville. But I think the drafting of T.J. Yeldon removes him from contention. And so, maybe he's got to squint to find a number 7 keeper out of there or trade for one. But he probably was going to do that anyway, because I can't imagine in his 7th or 8th season Bernard Pierce is suddenly a keeper. So no real carnage in this division. I think Nick got off scot-free, and maybe some minor considerations for the other two.
Chief, you know who I have the Mongols keeping in their number 7 spot right now is D'Angelo Williams on the theory.
That's a legitimate one with the suspension to Bell. I don't have him keeping Williams, but it's certainly arguable.
Yeah, and I think you're right. They should be able to find somebody better, hopefully, in a trade. Maybe a Travis Kelce type.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce.
Maybe a Golden Tate or somebody.
He's already been peddled to him.
Okay, so next division up, let's stay in the SoCo. Bill, why don't you talk about Chiefs division, the Sponge?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. I incorporated obviously free agency as well in this. So from the Sponge standpoint, I think that they stayed the same and got better because they didn't lose and there was no draft issues that really affected him. But Ingram staying with the Saints was such a shock and really not only the Beavers are counting on Kyrie Robinson a little bit there, but for him to stay and obviously they committed long term to him, so he's going to be a top 15 running back, especially with their new dedication and their picking up a lot of offensive line help for them. So that's a really good that's a winner for the Sponge. I'm going to do the Hams because the listing for the Sens is too long. The Hams, I would think they were a small way winner with Nick Foles still, possibly. Well, actually, no, that's not even right because forget that because Sam Bradford's starting there. What the hell? Hams had nothing. Hams really didn't have any effect whatsoever on draft, free agent, nothing. Nothing happened. The Sens.
Great analysis story. Great.
You only do what you can do. I should probably be asleep right now. I'm thinking of that too. Anyway, the Sens. You look at Theo Reddick. He was going to be a starter, but then they picked up that.
Who was the Sens' third keeper? Not their 7. Not their 7th keeper. Who's their third keeper?
I don't know. It's bad. Darren Sproles. Torrey Smith goes to San Francisco. It's like wide receiver,
Maybe Shane Vereen's their number 3 keeper?
Possibly. Brady's out for 4 games.
It's ugly, as I've seen a keeper.
Even if Dennis Pitta had a margin of a scintilla of talent, he's already been overcome with Max Williams. So, and then here's one of the funny things in researching this. I looked over the Senators' picks that they've traded and have traded back. They haven't made any trades. Kevin makes all these offers, and I haven't seen any trades of any draft picks from him. So he's got next year and hasn't gotten any back. So
anyway. The Senators are the only team with their original picks, right?
Yeah. But even Darren Sproles. They added 2 running backs. Theo Riddick has got Amir Abdullah behind him. Josh Gordon is out of the league.
Jarvis Landry looked like a pretty good receiver, who'd catch 90 balls. He might still
has to be a keeper.
But he's not going to score a lot of touchdowns with
Jarvis. And he was a week 13. He was a week 13 free agent pickup, I believe, wasn't he?
He was late. Yeah.
Landry.
Yes.
And I think you got to start looking at Percy Harvin as a keeper, as delicate a tightrope as that.
Yeah. Okay, next division. Let's have Hank take a look at my division, the aliens, Boba Fett's, and the lizards.
Well, all right. Just taking a look at these quickly, Stick. I mean, I think you looking at aliens first. There's a bit of a quarterback controversy if you want one between Cam and Kaepernick, and figuring out who you're going to get with there. I'm not sure that the draft necessarily hurt you or helped you. Overall. With Forsett and Stewart and Carlos Hyde as your projected running back keepers, and I don't know, maybe Christine Michael if you want to add a fourth potential RB. Martavis Bryant, Jordy Nelson as receivers. I mean, I think that was pretty set in stone. I'm not sure the draft impacts that at all. The Fats have got they got a little bit of impact with Duke Johnson going to the Browns. And they were planning on keeping Terrence West. I don't know how much that compromises things, but probably a little bit. I also think it's a big move with Julius Thomas leaving Denver, going to Jacksonville. Julius was in a great situation with Peyton. I mean, I'm sure it'll hurt the Broncos too, but going to Jacksonville I don't know that anybody's come back from that. And then he's still got Emmanuel Sanders and AJ Green, solid receivers. But then there's maybe a question in a weak 7th spot with Reggie Bush or Denard Robinson, depending on who you want to roll with there. And the Lizards have got an issue with Todd Gurley going to the Rams because they have the other two guys in that backfield with Trey Mason and Zach Stacy. Are one or both of them considering? Who knows?
Stacy's a Jet.
Stacy's a Jet. Okay, well then good. Well then Trey Mason is.
I think the Lizards are deep enough to I think maybe they're 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8 guys or whatever were somewhat interchangeable. So I think they'll be okay.
Well, the good news is
that's a team that can absorb that.
Adrian Peterson is the big news, and if he comes back and is anything like he was, that's huge. Mike Evans getting Jameis Winston is probably a great thing. They're going to throw a lot to each other. And then, do you keep Mike Wallace or Jerick McKinnon as your 7th guy, depending on what you think of the Vikings offense? To go with Luck and Hilton and Odell Beckham Jr. The Lizards got a pretty good keeper list.
Yeah, the Lizards are obviously a strong team. The issue is their running backs. Great, Adrian Peterson's coming back. Trey Mason is going to be worthless by midseason.
Yep.
Jerick McKinnon, it would have been great if Peterson got traded to Dallas, and maybe he still will. Then McKinnon could step back into the Vikings starting job, but McKinnon's going to be relatively worthless if Peterson stays in Minnesota.
Yeah, no,
the Lizards do have some running back hits here that they got.
They do. They got some running back issues. But they got some
free agent.
You're right, Phil, about Julius Thomas has gone to fantasy purgatory.
Yep.
That's a shame.
That's a tough spot for the Fats. So, I mean, the Lizards look to be in the best shape with a couple question marks. I think the Fats got more. And, aliens, it's just, are those guys going to gel? Or is Justin Forsett or Carlos Hyde or Martavis Bryant going to take a big leap and be a number one type of guy? Or, are they just going to be a few points a week kind of players? And, and then Cam or Kaepernick. I think those are tough questions to answer, or at least harder questions than the Lizards have got to answer.
Can you make a case for Kaepernick starting over Newton?
No.
I don't.
No, I'm on record as saying I'm not planning to keep Cam Newton or Kaepernick at the moment. But if I kept one of them, it would be Cam.
Wow, breaking news.
Breaking news. No quarterback for the aliens.
There might be a trade on the horizon. We may have our first ever webcast trade.
Tom Brady.
I mean, I feel good at that. Listen, the Justin Forsett, the Ravens could have drafted a running back pretty high, and they didn't. In Dallas, right now, Darren McFadden is probably an aliens keeper right now. He is the #1 running back in Dallas.
I think you're nuts. I think you're nuts if you keep McFadden over Cam Newton. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake.
I think you're crazy.
Or Roddy White.
All right, well, we'll have a lot of time to talk about the aliens. Okay, so I took a look at your division, Hank, the K and Berto.
As you silence debate.
K-Wheels, Giant Killers, and Impact. K-Wheels, no big impact in the draft. I think the guy you're keeping an eye on is Doug Martin. Word coming out of the draft from Tampa Bay was they might want to feature Charles Sims, rookie from last year. Doug Martin could even be traded. And then we were just talking about Darren McFadden. I think the other guy to keep an eye on your roster is Joseph Randle. Somebody's going to emerge as at least the lead guy in that backfield, and that's probably a guy worth keeping, whoever it is.
Could it be Adrian Peterson?
And it could still, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Kyrie Robinson.
But I'd
like to put money on that it won't be McFadden, though.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it'll be McFadden. I like Joseph Randle better. But I have a bias.
Lance Dunbar better than either one of them, but I think the lesson here is there are no keepers in that backfield.
Not at the moment. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, Giant Killers. I think Dallas and the way it went out and potentially, if this Collins guy doesn't end up getting arrested for murder, they bolstered the offensive line in front of Tony Romo. That's a good thing. On the flip side, Gronkowski perhaps weakened at least for the start of the season by the Brady suspension. But I think that's going to be an even more limited suspension than it was already announced.
As long as it's one game.
Yeah, there you go. I think the team that really took a hit in that division from the draft was the AMPAC, and it's obviously the team that needed help the most. They were really dented at running back, I thought. Joique Bell was a guy that maybe in that Detroit offense they could have counted on to be a strong number 2 back this year. I think with Abdullah coming in there, Riddick, getting catches on third down, I think Bell's going to be a pretty pedestrian running back. Bishop Sankey was I had him as their last keeper, but I think with David Cobb getting drafted, and the word coming out of Tennessee is that Sankey's just not going to get the touches, and certainly didn't show that he could do much with him last year. I think at this point Ryan Matthews for the Eagles, even in a backup role there, just with his upside, if he gets enough carries, is a better keeper than Sankey.
I wonder who's on my keeper list is not on yours. Do you have him keeping Joique Bell still or no?
I do.
Keenan Allen?
Yep. I don't have him keeping Larry Fitzgerald at the moment. But
Okay.
Wow. Really?
Garrett Blunt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keeping Blunt.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Not Fitzgerald. Okay. That's our difference then.
All right. So let's, we got maybe 5 minutes here to keep us to half an hour. Let's just quickly talk out the top half of the TFFL draft first round. And I bet you then we could breeze through a sense of what the back half of the round will look like, because we've got Bill here who's got 3 of the 6 picks. All right, Boba Fett's at the number 1 spot. Do they necessarily jump on Todd Gurley, the most talented back, or do they look at Melvin Gordon as a guy who's going to play right away, who might have a much better rookie year, getting a ton of carries as the number 1 guy in San Diego?
Stick, usually I go with the risk-averse procedure. Don't take the guy coming off catastrophic knee surgery. But it seems like when I do, I typically regret it. And the number 1 rated back is the number 1 rated back for a reason. And even if you have to, bring him along slowly for a year, it seems that in the end that's the guy. I mean, we saw it with Adrian Peterson and Marshawn Lynch, and they're both great backs. Marshawn a couple of weak years in the beginning there, but Marshawn started right away, and I think Peterson got less his first year. Going back to Steven Jackson and Kevin Jones, which I remember only because I had the number 1 pick in that draft.
I had the 2.
Jones was the inferior back, but he was going to a better situation right away. And and I jumped on Kevin Jones now, and it seems like, and it's hard for me to come around on it, but the consensus number 1 rated back is usually well regarded, and he's there for a reason. But I would still probably take Gordon.
Yeah, I'd go Gurley. I think, I think it's been played out. You take the guy who's the best talent, and talent always trumps opportunity, I think. because you'll always have these, guys. They're in a great spot. They're in a great opportunity. Who's the guy that went to Jacksonville last year, the running back? Why am I blanking?
Toby Turner. Well, Bishop Sankey was another guy who.
Bishop Sankey, another example in Tennessee. It's always like great opportunity, but you know what? It's the talent. So you got to go with the guy who's there. I mean, yeah, the knee, but by all accounts, this guy's going to be ready for potentially the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah, no, you got to take Gurley. That's the better pick. It's the better guy. Do not ever take Michael Bennett over LaDainian Tomlinson.
There you go.
Hey, Bill, you're our college scout. Any question on this one?
No, it's a 1A, 1 and 1A thing. Again, it's if you want instant impact, you probably get 2 or 3 more games out of Melvin Gordon, but Gurley's the guy, and then the drop, and then it goes to 2. I mean, you've got 3 guys after that who probably fit the next 3 running backs, but then you get the wide receivers involved. So
yeah, well, let's start moving down the draft order real quick. So number 2, then, I think is even more interesting debate, perhaps. You got the impact there, especially if they only keep Keenan Allen. But even if they do keep Larry Fitzgerald, they desperately need an impact player at wide receiver. Do they take Cooper or White over Gurley or Gordon?
No.
No.
They desperately need talent at running back, too.
Yeah, they need talent everywhere. Gordon is a Charger. That's another little sweetener around. I can't imagine him passing up on Gordon. You don't pass up on a running back like that.
No, 100% he takes Gordon.
All right, so number 3, aliens. I've already told a couple people.
Still got your man crush?
Amari Cooper. I think the aliens are another team that needs a young impact receiver. Martavis Bryant will hopefully catch a lot of touchdowns. But I think Cooper's a guy who hopefully is going to be catching 90 balls and 10 touchdowns a year for 10 years.
What happened to the love affair with T.J. Yeldon?
I was only telling you what ended up happening. I was saying T.J. Yeldon was going to get picked toward the end of the first round. He was first 4 picks of the second round. Not that I wanted him necessarily for anybody. I knew my sources were telling me.
Okay.
I like T.J. Yeldon. I think he's going to be good, except he plays where? He plays in Jacksonville.
Right.
Okay, so number 4 pick in the draft, we got the much maligned Senators. Who do they take, given the 3 guys off the board?
Talent. They take Kevin White.
Go and Shane Vereen's your number 2 running back.
They got to go running back.
I
got to go running back.
I think it's got to be Yeldon or Cobb. Maybe Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin White is tempting, and I remember the Sens a couple of years ago were kicking themselves for not picking Julio Jones?
Yeah.
And
no, he couldn't have a chance at it.
No, it was A.J. Green. He took Danny Thomas instead.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I know he's thinking about that, but you got to go to the well one more time. You got to try and get a running back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would agree that he has to take best player available, and if there's a tie, he always goes to the running back.
Given what we know at the moment, I've got this pick as Tevin Coleman.
Tevin Coleman, I think that's the pick.
Okay.
Okay, Sponge. You can lie to us here. We'll give you our opinion.
No, I'll tell you, but why don't you give me your thoughts before I do?
You're another team, and you've been looking for receivers for years, and you've got a good core right now, but Vincent Jackson's getting older. Cooks is still somewhat unproven. I think you're going with Kevin White here.
I agree.
I'm gonna go a different route. I'm gonna say Ajayi, or however you say his name.
Ajayi.
Well, I tell you what, if the draft were tonight, and I haven't made any roster moves, this is going to be maybe the surprise of the draft. I'm pretty desperate at this point. That would take Jameis Winston right here.
Oh!
Wow!
Wow!
No.
I don't love Jameis Winston, but I think he at least has a chance to be a perennial Pro Bowl type quarterback.
It's already got the wide receiver talent.
Sure.
And I think today that's where I am.
Cam Newton.
Today, I would also
No,
not.
that's a good thought.
I wouldn't be keeping quarterback as of today.
Mm.
As soon as you said that, I was like, damn, that makes sense. Are you getting the Andrew Luck of this draft?
Well, no, it's only
Hopefully, for your sake, it's not the RG3.
Well, maybe I'm getting the Cam Newton in this draft, which I think might be his floor. So, we'll see.
Mm. That's bold. That's bold. That's good.
Hey, one thing you can say about Winston, he's thrown to some great receivers.
Sure.
Yes. Calvin Benjamin.
So.
All right, why don't we just go with one more pick here, wrap up the first half of the first round. We have the Mongols now on the clock. I guess Kevin White's still sitting out there.
So you telling me Kevin White doesn't go in the top 6 picks?
Yeah, Kevin White would have to be the next.
I mean, the Hams have got a nice receiving core: Calvin Johnson, Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins.
Although the Mongols are in their perennial,
it's the Mongols.
Quarterback, and they could, it could, if Winston's gone, then maybe there's an adjustment and they take Mariota.
The Mongols are another team that needs a quarterback.
I mean, they've been searching for a quarterback for longer than Methuselah.
I don't know that with a young and very talented Alshon Jeffrey also on Chicago, that White's necessarily a first-round pick.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's still Jay Cutler.
I can't see him taking Mariota. They got burned already with RG3. The Mongols have a good team. They don't want to wait around for Mariota to be good, and he's not going to. Winston's got a shot to be good this year. Mariota is a longer-term I think. I mean, who knows? Let's see what happens. But I think the Mongols are good now. They want to win now.
I think this is where we look at a guy like Yeldon to come off the board.
Yeah. I hope they catch him when he's going to be much better. And I agree. The Mongols are too close to being right there to be investing in Mariota. Unless Badass loves them.
Listen, with the exception of the draft where Andrew Luck and RG3 went in the first round, the Aliens are the only team to have taken a quarterback before the third round any time in like the last 6 years.
That includes Peyton Manning when I picked him up in the draft.
You got him in the third round, I believe.
Yeah.
The Mongols last year took Jay Cutler in the third round as their first quarterback. Beyond that, I've taken the infamous Sam Bradford pick in the first round. I think there was another time I took a quarterback in the second round or early in the third round. I took Matt Ryan one year early in the third round. So the Mongols can wait. I don't think they're going to jump on Mariota there. I think they can sit back and get a good, solid veteran quarterback in the third round again. Okay, let's wrap it up. We're at 35 minutes, not too bad. Chief, a closing rant, messages for the league.
It's funny you mention that because there's a commercial right now. It's in heavy rotation, and usually TV's on my house, so I'm not watching it. And I didn't know what it was for. Apparently, it's a diaper commercial, and it's a song I find very annoying playing out. It's that All About the Bass song.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've never liked that song, and I really couldn't put my finger on it. Then I realized, you know why? Because that first line, what she says, "I'm bringing booty back." Who the fuck are you? Okay, Beyonce's been around for about 15 years. Now, I wouldn't know Nicki Minaj if she was sitting next to me in the bus, but apparently she's well renowned for having a booty. The Kardashians have made a cottage industries to the point of they're using illegal foreign substances to enhance their ass, and we have some 20-something-year-old white girl from Nantucket saying she's bringing booty back. I mean, I don't think booty ever left, but if it's back, it's not because of you. That's not Pootie. That's Baby Cat. You know, if there was one time that Kanye West should have come up and knocked the bitch down and say Beyonce's the greatest of all time, that was it. It wasn't Taylor Swift. It wasn't whoever else he's interrupted. That was a time to say, yo, you know, I'm real proud for you, but Beyonce brought Booty back 15 years ago. Go home to your island.
Well done.
There you go.
Do you rehearse these? Are these rehearsed? All right.
Is there a question there?
All right. Are these rehearsed at all?
No.
I'm impressed.
I knew what I was going to talk about tonight, but no, the rant wasn't rehearsed.
He's mad as hell, and he's not going to take it.
I don't mean
Good
to
work.
get off on a rant here. Okay, well that's it for tonight. I think we'll perhaps be back in a little bit. We can talk about we'll be back when this thing is engraved. How about that? There's no sense in showing it to us when it hasn't been engraved. That's the same one we saw last year.
Exactly. It's 1 year dirtier.
Yeah.
The same one you'll see next year.
So let's
Good night.
plan on coming back later in the summer. We'll Bill, you can go through your rules update. We'll maybe have Berto give us a little trade forecast to get some final trades going as we head into August. We can indeed talk about paying bills after the second deposit on the house. Talk about draft weekend. But for now, enjoy the new players coming into the NFL and what they might do for your team in the draft. Let's start making some trades, folks.
Excellent.
Take care.
Well, let's talk Newton.
Yeah, we can.
Maybe I'll talk the poor man's Jameis Winston with you. All right, good night, fellas.
Rich man's Byron Leftwich.
Thanks, Jets.
All right. Signing off, Stick. Are we good?
We're good. Good night.
Good night.